Oh, okay. I don't even know where to start. So, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, thank you guys so much for clicking on the video. In today's video, I'm going to share with you guys what I would like to call pretty much the hardest week of my life. For those of you guys that didn't get a chance to catch up, we had some information to pass on you guys from the community page as far as everything that went down over the last week. But if you didn't get a chance to check it out, don't you worry. We're basically going to be talking about the majority of that stuff here in this video. I want to preface this video by reminding you guys that when it comes to my content, while I do remain family friendly, I do, pride myself in the fact that I try to be as transparent as possible, brutally honest as possible. There's going to be some good, there's going to be some bad, there's going to be some ugly, and I'm going to share it all with you today. I'm not proud of all the things that I'm going to say, but I wouldn't have any other way because I'm human. So I want to let you all know what's going on. And hopefully there's not a whole lot of cuts in this video. I feel like I've shared enough emotion, enough tears over the last week or so that I'm comfortable enough, I'm able enough to get this video done. So basically I'm just going to go like through a timeline to kind of give you guys a heads up of what's going on. And yeah, we'll just take it from here. So for those that don't know, my girlfriend and I, Brandy, aka Ivan May 402, was blessed to advise you guys about 8.5 months ago that we were going to have a little baby girl. So our due date was April 21st. And basically up until this point, it's been quite a good pregnancy. On the morning of Wednesday, April 12th, it was just a day like any other day. And I get a call from Brandy as she had some scheduled like basic like appointments at the doctor's office just to kind of check to see how everything's going on. I get a call from Brandy saying, I need you to stop what I'm doing and get to the hospital right away. As you can imagine, being a father, mother, expectant child of somebody else, for your significant other to basically stop what you're doing and get over here right away. It was pretty hard. It was pretty hard to deal with. So obviously I contacted the appropriate people at work, left work, and basically halfway through, we went from Brandy tried to fill me in and say, hey, we basically our baby is, how do I say this? Her quote unquote heart is strong. However, she's just not responding at all. They do what they call like a non-stress test to try to kind of get a little movement and see what's going on and whatnot, but nothing was responding. So the doctor called an audible right then and there and said, we're not sure what's going on right now, but we're not going to wait basically another minute. You got 20 minutes to get your boyfriend up here. Otherwise we're going to be delivering this baby. So as you can imagine, I'm attempting to get to the hospital, which is about 25 minutes away, in one piece, and trying to keep my composure. One of the things that I've been able to do in times of need, in times of hardship, is keeping the composure and not letting it go. So moving on, I get to the hospital. They get me to a room, and within 5 minutes, I'm dressed out in the operating room to be here for delivery. She had a C-section for her first child, so we're going to be having a C-section once again. And so basically, I just kind of sat down right next to her and waited for them to deliver the baby. They were able to get Nova out of there. And for those of you guys that are young or don't know how it all goes down, they got once the delivery is done, the labor delivery people pass it on to another team that essentially works on, reviving the baby. So some of you guys know that once the baby comes out, they can be crying right from the get-go, but sometimes that's not the case, and they're not responsive, and they have to, they have to do a couple of things to get the baby to respond, start crying, and make sure everything's okay. I don't know the actual like numbers per se, but I think generally most of these groups can get it done within a matter of 30 to 60 seconds. My daughter took just a little under 3 minutes. So you can imagine me watching my daughter go over here, not responding, and then in about 45 seconds, she busted out 2 cries, which obviously brought, tears of joy to our eyes to know that she's okay. But then she stopped immediately. And we went for another 2 minutes and like 5 seconds. And the only thing I can do is to stare at Brandy and just advise her that everything's okay. Like, just hang in there. Don't give up. They're gonna get her through this. Everything's gonna be okay. And thank God that they were able to revive her, but they realized that her breathing was compromised. She was having issues with breathing, so they immediately get her to the NICU and get her on a CPAP machine to assist with breathing. After that, our doctor basically advised us that there was a knot in the umbilical cord, which basically inhibited from oxygen and other nutrients to get to the baby. So and this is again on a whim in the sense that it just so happened that she had an appointment today. Had we gone another day, Nova might not be here. So moving on, the Nova goes, to NICU. We go back, to post recovery, just kind of hang out for the time being. And basically, like I said, they kind of monitor her breathing. As of right now, she's basically not able to do their breathing on her own. She needs assistance and pressure to kind of continue breathing because her body's not sure what's going on. In this particular situation, there could be a ton of things. Breathing issues, brain damage from lack of oxygen, so many things that could be going wrong. Our heads are just like kind of, we're just up in the air. Like, we're just hoping that everything is going to work out at the end. We just figure, hey, it's a premature baby like any other, get out there. It'll take maybe a couple of extra days and things will be going, things will be going good. 11:24 a.m. She was born on April 12th.
There it is.
2023. 7 pounds 9 ounces, 21 inches. And so the rest of the evening, we're taking it like any other evening of your kid being born. Spend some time with it, hanging out with her.
There you go.
And just checking in everything that's going on. But we knew that there's obviously a lot more going on than expected, because while she's getting assisted breathing, she was pretty unresponsive. Eyes opening, non-existent. A lot of movement per se, non-existent. For lack of a better word right now, I guess the politically correct word would be just unresponsive. We'll leave it at that. Again, I apologize in advance. I know something else is going to come out in this video. Like I said, it's been a rough week. So moving on. The next day comes April 13th, Thursday, April 13th. We check in, and basically, they kind of advise us, after doing some blood work or whatnot, that there's way more issues than we thought. They noticed that the liver has been compromised, and basically, like, her liver enzymes were 10 times higher than they should be. So, we're just kind of sitting there with our, thumbs in our butts, because while the liver is compromised, as you guys know, sometimes when people have complications to specific organs, it kind of domino effects into other things here. So, at the time we started out with breathing, which led into the liver thing. But from what I understand and what I gathered here, they said that these issues here were kind of already there. They already happened prior to even the issue with the knot in the umbilical cord and the breathing. So they had because of this, the compromising and the work that needed to be done with regards to breathing and assisting her, she could not feed. Therefore, they had to provide her nutrition intravenously, which is good because she's getting the nutrition, but bad because they're bypassing everything in the midsection, the gastrointestinal system, and basically they're putting it straight into the bloodstream, which ultimately is even harder than the liver. But that's the choices that doctors have to make sometimes, where they got to outweigh the pros and the cons, the benefits versus risk, or whatever it is. And even though this was a risky move, considering the fact that she was having some serious liver issues, if they can't get any nutrition in her, she's not going to make it. So in addition to that and various other things, they start with that process here, get her poked up to to get it. But she had more complications on that Thursday because of the fact that her veins, just having, a tough time finding the vein, being able to extract the blood from the vein if they have to draw blood or provide nutrients. It was very, very hard. So within a matter of 12 hours, they pretty much hit every single spot with little to no results, meaning she had pokes in both hands, both feet, even the brain, which to me is crazy that they would think to do that with the baby, but I guess that's like a standard thing. But considering the fact that she had, like issues with, the whole, lack of oxygen to possibly the head, we were concerned about brain damage. So, pulling even blood now from the from the head, it was just a scary moment. So basically, that particular day was an extremely hard day because not only are they doing all the stuff to extract, what they need prior to nutrients, hitting the liver, remove blood, which is draining her. They found that in addition to that she has issues with clotting. Her blood doesn't coagulate; it can't clot. So for those of you guys that don't know, when you get hurt, you get the blood, it'll clot up. It'll kind of kind of assist in stopping the bleeding. And she doesn't have that. So basically, if she were to get hurt, cut, whatever like that, she would essentially bleed out. Which combine that with this whole aspect of, poking her left or right just to extract blood, it's a very scary thing. I could tell all the nurses were on edge, the doctor was on edge, and the doctors and all the conversation that we had, just everybody is just, they're trying to provide insight, but just by their body language, the way they're sharing, they just did not look confident as a nurse would want to look or as a doctor should look. It was a very scary moment. Very scary moment. So, moving on to Friday, April 14th, we go through the same process. We see a little bit of improvement in the breathing. They eventually remove the CPAP. So we find that there's, a little bit of progress there, which obviously makes us, very excited. But ultimately, her blood work is getting dramatically worse. And so because of the fact that they took all those lines out or tried to poke her and just didn't have too much luck here, they had to switch from going, instead of intravenously, but into an artery. You guys got arteries and veins. Arteries, a little bit smaller, but the art line of what they were trying to do, I guess, basically, it allows them to kind of do two things. They can provide, nutrition. They could also draw from it. So it's like a universal, line that they could do. But ultimately, it's a very risky thing because, again, she has no, clotting, the coagulation, all that stuff. So if they do something wrong, if they poke something wrong, they can cause a lot of issues. They put in the art line, which took about 2 hours, and it was a success. But like I said, at the end of the day, she still had a lot of complications, so there was still a lot of work to be done. Friday afternoon, we get pulled in by the doctor again, who's been updating us on the regular in the morning, the evening, whatnot. And I never thought I would hear this in a million years. But basically, the doctor, who's supposed to be the head hog, big baller, shot caller in this facility, the one that's had experience for countless years, says, "This is what's going on. This is what's happening. This is how we would generally fix this." And I cannot figure out what is wrong. I truly do not know what is wrong with your daughter. There's something that we're not basically gathering when it comes to this liver and trying to figure out how to rectify it. I truly do not know. So that particular time, as you can imagine, the whole room was bawling because the person that's supposed to know everything about this stuff knows nothing. But I take a second to give him props by saying he doesn't know, because it's extremely hard for somebody of that level to be able to do that. So he does that, and basically says that we're going to be sending Nova. Of course, it's with, they gave us a choice, but don't really give us a choice. They said we're gonna give a, and with your permission, we're gonna basically transport her to UNMC, which is a hospital there that has a team that specializes with hepatology or livers. So they got people specific to the issues that she has. So of course, we're not going to sit here and let our daughter die on the table. So now that the decision has been made to make our way on over to UNMC, we do that. And take a 30-minute drive and get her all situated in her room. And they basically get her plugged into the new isolate, which is like the machine that people use for the NICUs. Naturally, we had yet some more complications, to include the art line that went out. They essentially got knocked out during the process, whether it was a transport or the staff like getting her situated. But essentially, all the work that they did leading up to this point, when it comes to the being able to get the blood drawn and all that stuff, that is out. So naturally, now we're even put in even a bigger situation that they have to have a spot to get the nutrients. They have to have a spot to get the blood. They don't have that right now. So as you can imagine, they're basically just trying to make sure that they can get these lines in so they can get it done. And they spent 6 hours from about 9:30 to 3:30 going back and forth trying to find a spot to make everything work. So you can imagine the thoughts that are running through my head given where we're at, but and I guess this is kind of where it gets really, really nasty. Essentially, I was out of my element, and I was thinking of basically all the negative stuff that could be thought of. Mad at the world for, having me in this position. Mad at the people, but they can't figure out what's wrong with my daughter. Mad at the fact that I can't do nothing to help her. Upset at the fact that, Brandy can't communicate, can't get that bond as a mother would after birth. Just everything. The anger, the rage, the frustration. It was at an all-time high. And I'm very happy that outside of my immediate family, nobody that knows me saw who I was that night. I sat in a room no bigger than like half of a bedroom, and watching 6 or 7 people go at it, trying to figure out what they could do to get it in. And that's when all hell broke loose as far as my attitude and my issues and whatnot. But I somehow had the energy or the willpower to allow these guys to recognize that these guys are professionals and that they're doing everything and anything in their power to save my daughter. So naturally, after 6 hours and having various nurses, nurse assistants, nurse practitioners and whatnot, can't figure it out. It was basically to the point where they were like going to get ready to sedate her, just to try to figure out a way to get a line in. Somebody called the audible to get somebody from a different room here, and apparently this person has like 45 years of experience underneath her belt. And let me tell you something, when this lady walked in, I don't know who her name is Susan. I don't know who she is, but when she walked in, she got the respect. It was like a queen or king, entering a room and silencing everybody, you just know that we know that things are in such a bad spot. Like they stopped all things. Like they called some people in to get the work done, and it was done. She did find a line. She got it set up, but they needed another one. So eventually, they ended up having surgery that morning, Saturday morning now, April 15th, to get a one surgically placed in so that there's no more issues with the artery line and so on and so forth. So, um, Saturday moves on. Again, they have to, some of the uh, results were inaccurate from the original hospital that we were in. So they had to get more labs done. Um, and again, essentially draw more blood. And just like it's just all compiling. Like they're giving her medication to suppress this, but increase that. They're giving her, food intravenously to give her nutrition, but they're bypassing the GI tract, so we're causing issues there, putting more pressure on there's just so many things where they literally went back and forth, the pros and the cons versus every single thing, and they just, it was like a balance beam of stuff going on. So by Saturday evening, uh, the liver team, as well as the head person in charge, the neonatal practitioner, I think is what it's called. Um, they basically pull us to the side and say, here's the situation. We cannot hone in on what it can be. There's a couple of things that it can be, but ultimately, um, the thing that we're looking at is ultra rare, 1 in 100,000. Can't figure it out. And basically, if the medication that we're trying to do doesn't work, which ultimately it's like the amount of benefits that we're getting versus the cons or whatever like that, it's not equal. Like the cons are beating the benefits right now. Um, then basically we only got one other option, which is going to be a liver transplant. And of course, liver transplants are not guaranteed, right? But to fix everything, but there's a lot of complications that come through that. But basically, we're at that point now where it's life or death, and we have to do what it is. So, as you can imagine, the first question I ask is what do I have to do to get, give her, part of my liver to make it work, and naturally, at the current state that my daughter's in, uh, trying to figure out if any immediate family member has everything that she needs, it takes too much time. And the reason how we knew that there was not a lot of time left is because basically the process, and maybe some of you guys that are watching this video understand the process of getting yourself set up to accept the donor. The process that it took, which is it's almost like 10 to 12 like visits, meetings with certain people to get everything worked out. The process that needed to be done already started prior to them telling us what it is, because the amount of stuff that has to be done, even though they know that we still have a choice at the end of the day, they took it upon themselves to start the process, because if we decide to go with it, which again is either life or death, we choose to do it and gamble, or we don't, and we just let her pass. There's a lot of things in the back that need to be done to get her on the list. So basically, my daughter on the evening of Saturday was put on a status 1A, meaning she was at the top of the list nationwide, across the board, across the country. If anybody were to have a liver that meet her needs, the team would stop everything that they're doing, go pick it up, and between the time interim, like the time between picking them up and being back here, they would be prepping her to get her ready, basically for surgery. And again, so many things can, go right, but so many things go wrong. So as you can imagine, our family was, after 3 days of dealing with everything to be dealt with, our family was just drained physically, emotionally. It was rough, but like any situation in the spot, as I've been doing in the YouTube community page, the comments, and whatnot, I just, people were advised of our situation. We let them know just to keep us, keep her, keep Nova and my girlfriend Brandy in our thoughts and prayers, as we're going through a really difficult time. at this particular point, we just like, even though they're in the process of transplanting, like we didn't know like how much time she had. That's why they were moving as fast, because they're like, this could be all over in a matter of 24 hours. So, um, uh, basically, again, the process continued on. That night. She was put on the list, um, and basically the next day, moves on, and we just kind of hang out with her. Still pretty unresponsive, still drained, still just kind of hanging by the skin of her teeth. And over the course of Sunday, we do find out that one of the treatments for GALD, which is the thing, I think it's like, I don't recall. Maybe I'll leave a link or put a post, something like that. But it's like a autoimmune liver disease, galliamino auto, like, liver disease or whatever. It's a basically just a complete liver function. Like, autoimmune is sort of with the liver. Um, I know I'm probably getting it wrong. I apologize for anybody that's like in the medical field, but you can imagine like me giving two F's right now about how to pronounce it when we're talking about this, right? So that being said, though, Sunday rolls off, and apparently a lot of the prayers that people put out, they're starting to be heard, because we're seeing at this particular point on Sunday, April 16th, which is actually my sister's 39th birthday, we're starting to see um, the benefits outweigh the barriers when it comes to the balancing that they've been doing to try to keep her at bay. And it seems to be that this IVIG treatment um, is working, but they advise us that this is not something that we can constantly do. This is something that will work over time, but there's going to be a point in time where her body will not respond to it, because they've just pushed her body as far as it can go. So we're just kind of, it's coming down to the clock now. And so naturally, day goes on, still relatively unresponsive, still hasn't fed, still going on 4 days of no feeding, just providing the nutrition intravenously. So it's just kind of going on, right? But the good thing about it is that after the first IVIG treatment was done, some of the numbers that we were looking at went drastically down, which is not only our first real improvement, but also our first like dramatic improvement, meaning they start to have an idea what's going on while they don't know it for sure, and they have too many things that they're doing on the side that's still like putting too much work on their system. They are seeing more progress than they are, regress or digress or whatever you want to call it. So it helped in a sense that like we got a little bit more sleep at night, but not too much, because between Brandy trying to get, and of course at this whole time Brandy's sitting here, doing what she has to do with the pumping, because if and when we can provide nutritional value by means of breast milk or whatnot, we want to be ready. We want to make sure she has the supply to do so. Basically throughout these 4 to 5 days, especially with those last 2 days at the new hospital, I have her go home. I try to have her unwind, relax as much as possible, and I stay at the hospital. Basically, I've been at the hospital for the last 6 days. This is the first day that I'm here in front of in front of this thing, making a video for you. But basically after that, Monday and Tuesday, my update for you is going to be a little bit better, because there's not really too much to add, because as of this particular time, they now are seeing more like a little bit better positive change versus negative. And basically, again, it's just a matter of trying to figure out a way to combat this liver failure, and make sure that this whatever issues that are happening doesn't spread into any other body parts. But I'm happy to say that nothing is spread. No kind of disease or whatever like that has compromised any other part of her body. So right now it's just a matter of maintaining her levels, reducing some of the numbers that are really, really high when it comes to her data, the blood drawn and stuff like that, and just trying to get her essentially eating food, eating breast milk, getting the nutrients, the antibodies and whatnot from the breast milk, getting getting that will be a lot better for her, and will take less stress off of everything else that's kind of coursing through her veins. So I'm happy to report that things are still, since that Monday, basically from Sunday night to Monday and Tuesday and now Wednesday, every single day has been a blessing because every single day she's here. While, she's not out of the woodworks, she definitely, after basically the person that's in charge of everything at the one of the best, if not the best, liver specialists hospital out there. After them telling us that we need a liver transplant, she was happy to announce that they removed her from a status 1A to a status 7, and that even though we understand that anything can happen at any given time, she's not going to be number one on the list because we're starting to see some regenerative properties of the liver. They're starting to make progress, and ultimately, they would rather sit here, take their time, figure everything out, and let the liver heal over time, versus just go straight into a liver transplant like the other hospital could have done, and maybe like nothing would have worked, right? So, kind of moving on right now to kind of give you an idea. Nova is breastfeeding. Nova is taking a bottle. She is a little bit more responsive, a little bit more alert. Her liver's still compromised. She still has jaundice. She still has, high bilirubins, for those of you guys in the medical field that know what's going on. But at the end of the day, she's night and day better than she was 3 days ago. So for all of you guys that have been extending your blessings, your prayers, they truly mean a lot. I don't know if we could have got to this point without, as again, I still have a lot of rage, sharing, upset at the world that, we had to have some kind of a disease that's like 1 in 100,000, and how unlucky, we are to be. I got to remind myself that I had an opportunity to see her born. I've had an opportunity to watch her go through the struggles. And as unlucky as we are for her to have this, we are outrageously lucky to be in one of the best hospitals in the nation that deals with this specifically. And we're also lucky that none of our organs have been compromised, and that the liver is one of the only organs in the body that has regenerative properties, meaning if we were to happen to get a liver transplant, she can have a chunk of a liver from somebody else, and then within a matter of weeks, it can regen into the full size for a baby at her size, whatever. So, there's a lot of unfortunate things going on in the situation, but there's a lot of fortunate things if everything works out. My girlfriend's sister, who's also a doctor as well, feels like this process, if everything works out the way it is going to be an additional 2 to 4 weeks in the hospital. So, as far as videos go, stuff like that goes, I'm going to try my best for the times that are now, because I'm taking a little bit of breather now that things have calmed down, and I'm stepping away from the hospital so that, Brandy could be there for a little bit, or my grandparents could be there for a little bit. We always want somebody there in case something goes down. But now that things have kind of relaxed, I've taken it upon myself to step away, try to reset, recharge, do what I got to do. And yeah, just continuously praying, continuously trying to stay positive. Try to get myself out of that nasty funk, out of that rage, out of that negativity that I was in not even 2-3 days ago. So yeah, video streams and everything, guys, are going to be just kind of a hit and miss. I apologize in advance for all the people that came from the Summoners Sword Chronicles family that's been itching to see another video. Shouts out to you guys for sticking around. Speaking of stick around, my Summoners Sword Sky Arena family that are watching this video, thank you. Thank you for your support. And I'll be looking to give you guys hopefully some good news in the next few weeks. Take care.